Ethan Klein the other day and his IDF wife, his IDF terrorist wife, Hila Klein, mispronunciation intentional. If you don't get it, I suggest you think about what Nazis say and attempt to connect it to that. Praised Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on their podcast. I made a short little video explaining why that is bad. Why do I need to do that? Why do I need to explain why the defense minister of Israel during a genocide is bad and he's rolling it? I don't get it. Why do people need that explained to them? But now Ethan Klein made a video defending himself. Apparently Hassan is a Weaselly little liar for citing that.
Hello. I'm here to address something that happened on Thursday's show. We were doing our post-election COPE stream, and the subject of Israel had came up, and here is what was said about it. Let's take a look. Trump
is so pro-Israel, it's insane.
Not only is he pro-Israel,
him and Bibi talk a lot, and Bibi's become a lot like Trump.
Yeah, so. Bibi's his guy. They're like homies. Bibi's celebrating last night.
Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy. They
even call Netanyahu like an affectionate name like Bibi. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You're gonna call Hitler by his like diminutive nickname next? Like, what the fuck, man? The way these people just talk about things, it's blood-curdling by itself. Unreal. They treat like a genocidal fucking maniac currently carrying out like the genocide of our time before their eyes. And they talk about him like fucking, like he's a little small bean. It's unbelievable. Like, he's becoming Trump. Honestly, Trump could only dream of being as bad as him.
A lot of people are pissed about it, and he fired him because they had a disagreement, and that's like so Trump-coded.
Well, he was like a moderating voice.
It's so Trump-coded.
The war room.
Yeah.
And he got rid of him, or at least a more moderate voice. I don't know anything about the guy. Here we're talking about Yoav Gallant, who was a member of Netanyahu's war cabinet, who just yesterday was fired by Netanyahu because he wanted to end the war.
That's not true, you dumb motherfucker. Because he wanted to end the war. These people like to frame... Dude, he's been doing genocide for a year. He has been the guy, the defense minister. Do you know what the defense minister does? He implements policy. He's literally the Himmler. Himmler was the guy who put Hitler's plans into practice. Gallant was the guy who put Netanyahu's plans into practice. Every single murder in Gaza was at his direction because of his planning, because of his organization. Where are you talking about that? Why aren't you mentioning this?
Now, who wants to continue the war?
To these people end the war. Do you know why Yoav Gallant wants to end the war, so to speak? Because he believes they've achieved their goals. He believes that Gaza has been ethnically cleansed and genocided to the point where they can now establish their plan, report in the Telegraph. Their goal is to hoard any remaining Palestinians into what they call gated communities, staffed by former British and American soldiers who are now private military contractors, to keep them in these concentration camps. This is what Yoav Gallant, this is why he thinks the war is over, right? When he says the war is over, what he means is, I think we've done enough genocide. Now we can move on to the concentration part. Now we can move on to controlling them. You know, the population has been thinned enough. Now we should let the ones who want to leave, and put the ones who remain into concentration camps while we colonize the rest. That is his position. He's trying to frame it like he's an anti-war figure. He wants to end the war. He's a moderate voice. He's a moderate voice wanted for like 20 fucking charges of crimes against humanity. And Hila Klein said that he wasn't a bad guy, that he was a good guy. You said that he was a moderate voice. What is your definition of moderate?
And therefore he fired him. Once he was fired, people in Israel took to the streets and are protesting because as far right...
No, people in Israel support the war. 96% of people in Israel support the war. 94%. 20 out of 21. Only 6% of Israelis think the war in Gaza should be stopped due to the great cost in human life, according to a recent poll. So those Israelis who are protesting this, they are protesting not because they are against the war, not because they think it's bad to genocide Palestinians, but because they have disagreements about how it's done. That's all there is to it.
As Netanyahu's, war cabinet is, he is literally a moderating voice in that.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Oh my God, this is whitewashing someone straight up who did genocide. This man in Israel, he is at probably, honestly, on the same level as Netanyahu of responsibility, because he's the one who actually implemented it. He and Netanyahu are two of the people who the ICC, the two people who they chose to charge as the most responsible for it. Give me a break.
A cabinet, and was the only one representing the people and pushing for the war to end.
Representing the people? If he represents the people, do you know what that says about Israelis? This is the Heinrich Himmler of Israel.
The problem with Yoav which I don't even think Hila probably knew at the time because this war's been going on for so long, is that he's somewhat infamous for this quote here. He said on October 8th, there will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. We are fighting human animals and we act accordingly. When he's talking about entering Gaza in the first phases of the war. Now, a lot of people look at this language and think that it's dehumanizing and genocidal, and I'm one of those people. I agree that this...
No, you don't. You lied about this. Hila Klein said on Instagram story this was only about Hamas. He's lying.
This is a horrible thing to say, and I don't defend him, and I never would defend him.
You did. You said he was a moderate voice. You agreed with Hila when she said that he was like a good guy.
Statement like this, which I assume people who watch this show know and understand. Now, a year plus later, for whatever reason, this is the same guy who's advocating for the war to end.
You missed an entire thing. What happened in that intermittent time? He's treating this as if it's like a YouTuber said the N-word or something. Like a YouTuber had an oopsie-doopsie moment. Yoav Gallant said something counselable. Oopsie! Call for genocide. That's how he's treating it. Let's talk about what happened between that statement and now. Yoav Gallant implemented genocide in Gaza. He was the defense minister. You're talking about him like he said a racist thing one time, and that's the problem. The problem is that he did genocide. His hands are covered in the blood of tens of thousands of children. Every single one of them has his footprint on it. Every single one of those deaths is a result of his planning, of his organization, of his command. And you're talking about him like he just said the N-word by accident in a YouTube video. If that's even... okay, it's not possible to just say the N-word by accident. But you know what I mean. He's talking about it like he had an oopsie-doopsie moment where he let out something that he didn't mean to say. Like it's PewDiePie accidentally saying the N-word when he got killed on the bridge in whatever game that was or whatever. You're so content-brained. You're so disconnected from reality that you're treating it like this guy is just a random guy who one time accidentally said that he wanted to kill all Palestinians. Then a year later, he was fired from his job unjustly because he said he was against the war. And you're deleting everything that was in between that, where he was literally the second in command of a genocide. And your wife, your IDF wife, your terrorist wife, who terrorized people in the West Bank, said that he was a good guy. And you said that he was a moderate voice. Like, it's like saying that Himmler was a moderate voice because he disagreed with Hitler once or twice.
In Israel. And Hila, looking over...
Why aren't you talking about what he did?
News, sees that people are rioting, people are upset, and then people...
Hila knows what's happening. Hila knows who this guy was. She thinks what he's doing is good. This is another thing. They try to frame it as if Hila is a humanitarian. She's against what's happening. They try to frame it like like it's not her fault. She was just conscripted. The problem is, it's not that she was conscripted in doing something that she disagrees with. She agrees with the IDF. She agrees with what they're doing in Gaza. She agrees with Yoav Gallant. She outright said in another moment recently, she agreed with Rudolph Giuliani when he said that Palestinian children want to kill all Jews. Giuliani said Palestinians are raised to mass murder Jews. And Hila Klein's response to that was, I mean, yeah. She knew who Yoav Gallant was, and she thought that he's doing a great fucking job in Gaza. That's what this is. And you've been speaking all about Israel-Palestine recently. You've been shitting on people who are anti-genocide, and you have the goal to be like, we just didn't know what's happening. How do you not know what's happening? How do you not know who Yoav Gallant is when you've been shitting on people who know way more than you on this and acting like they're just against Israel because of anti-Semitism this whole fucking time?
Who want the war to end are upset that he got fired, and that's basically all that happened.
That's basically all that happened. Nothing else that I'm leaving out about him being literally chief genocider the whole time. And then to back this up, Ethan cites a news article which says, Gallant has said the army has achieved all of its objectives in Gaza and should end the war for that reason. Do you understand what that means, you dumb motherfucker? He's not saying that he's against the war. He's the one who did the war. He's saying that all of the objectives have been achieved, as in they've genocided enough people. They've thinned the herd enough for his liking. It's time to move on to phase 2, which is putting them in concentration camps. He goes on here. It's good. Hila Klein comes and says that she's stepping away from the podcast. He comes here and tries to shit on Hassan because Hassan said, Hezbollah isn't bad. He supports what Hezbollah is doing against Israel. Okay, here's the thing, Ethan. By the way, one of these things is just flat out false. Suicide bombing of the Argentine Jewish Mutual Association building in Buenos Aires. That was, for one, said to be done by Iran, never even remotely proven by anyone, never proven that it had it was in any way linked to Hezbollah, never claimed by any of those organizations. If you are looking at this and saying that that's something that cites that as if it was committed by Hezbollah, as if it's proven, as if anyone knows who did it, when nothing even remotely proving that has ever been found. You're obviously just citing bullshit, and you're too fucking dumb to realize it. Here's the thing, Ethan. We know why you're against Hezbollah. We know why you're against what you call terrorism. It's because they fight back against Israel. Your wife is a terrorist. Your wife is way more of a terrorist than anyone in Hezbollah, anyone in Hamas, anyone in the Houthis, anyone who you denounce. All of them. Put together. Your wife is more of a terrorist than them. For you, a terrorist is someone who fights against Israel. A terrorist is someone who fights against genocide. But the reality is that your country, Israel, your wife's country, Israel, which both of you support, which you actively whitewash, as you tried to whitewash here, you tried to whitewash literally the genocider-in-chief, Yoav Gallant. Anyone who fights against Israel is significantly less bad than Israel will ever be. Your issue is that they fight against Israel. And for you to shit on Hassan for saying that these groups that resist, he's happy that these groups resist Israel, and cite like a bunch of shit that you found on Google 2 seconds ago to justify why that's apparently wrong. I keep getting this dumbass's fans in my comments saying that he's actually anti-Israel and we are anti-Semitic for saying otherwise. How is he anti-Israel? Because he pretended to cry once about dead Palestinian children? He's against anyone who resists Israel. He says he just literally doubled down on framing the guy who killed those children as a moderate. His wife was an IDF terrorist. She terrorized children in the fucking West Bank. He can't even denounce that. She doesn't even think that anything that the IDF is wrong. Someone like Hila Klein, a literal terrorist, should not be allowed on any platform. The guy from Yemen was banned from fucking Twitch for streaming like a game on his phone, just because he's from Yemen, basically. Hila Klein, an actual in-person terrorist, she's not banned from anything. She has a fucking $1 million podcast. During an active genocide, Ethan Klein, who pretends to be against the genocide, tells us that there's nothing wrong with the genocider and that the people who are fighting against the genocide are bad. They are the real terrorists. And he tries to get the people who refuse to fall into that narrative permanently banned. Says that they hate him not because he does that, but just because he's Jewish. Ethan Klein, people hate you because you're a piece of shit. People are unsubscribing from you because you're a Zionist, terrorist piece of shit. You're losing viewers every stream because of that. Because you stepped out of your lane, which was like doing blackface, being racist, doing petty YouTube drama, being misogynist, being anti-Semitic, being basically every bad thing under the book, to start talking about politics. And it exposed you for who you really are. And you're going to keep raging, keep making these videos on the Ethan Klein channel, trying to frame it as if it's anything else. You're going to continue hemorrhaging viewers. And whatever, they'll come to people like me. They'll go to Hassan. They'll go to all these people who have literally like the highest possible ground against you. It's obvious to anyone who is not just a partisan for Israeli genocide that you are the one who is in the wrong here.